Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Today we have out Mr. Mann and Ms. O'Brien. And we're gonna start the meeting with our assemblyman, and then we'll get to the presentation so he can update us on state affairs.
So annually, John McDonald, who is our assemblyman who represents our district, has been very communicative with our district and our board regarding what is happening with the state budget process. We always appreciate Assemblyman McDonald coming. So we're going to give him an opportunity to engage with our board first, and then we'll give the board an opportunity to ask any questions they may have. And John, we appreciate all that you've done to continue to support our district and public education. So Assemblyman McDonald.
Thank you, Superintendent Simmons, and to the board and to the public. Thank you for the opportunity to stop in, although it's virtual tonight, to give you an update of where things are at in Albany. I do apologize. I know we tried to get together a couple weeks ago. Unfortunately, or fortunately, we were in some budget review at the time, which just went too long, and I just couldn't make it. Overall, many of you know last year, every year is different, and I've been doing this for 13 years now, and I always try to be very transparent and forthright with people. Every year is different with the budget when it comes to education. Top line, $32 billion is being appropriated or expected to be appropriated over the 800 plus school districts throughout the state of New York. That being said, all education is local, and that's what we're here to talk about. Last year, there was a lot of controversy because the proposal by the executive actually penalized districts who were losing population. And that's what was proposed. We rallied back, but we had districts losing money. And I can't remember where East Greenbush was at the time, but I think we were able to rally. We kicked off this and held people harmless. But at the same token, it kicked off a foundation aid study, which was long overdue. It's been 20 years since the foundation, they were using 2000 data for calculations, and it didn't really reflect where districts are today. So fast forward, the governor used the results of that study, which had a lot of widespread participation. Jeff, you know, you were involved, many other superintendents and a lot of families and teachers were involved in this report, and it's kicked off this new formula where the governor's made some adjustments based on some of, but not all of the recommendations in the study. Bottom line is for many school districts, they're being held harmless with a 2% increase across the board. East Greenbush, and when I'm talking about foundation aid, this is the operating aid. You know, people get a little bit confused when they look at when a newspaper prints out all the education aid. They use the total aid number, which can be confusing because a lot of reimbursable expenses, whether it's capital aid, whether it's transportation aid, whatever it may be, gets shown. But when you look at foundation aid, this is what you need to make sure that day-to-day education is being provided, pay the teachers, to pay the staff, to deal with the health insurance, the whole 9 yards. East Greenbush is doing a little bit better. Actually, it's doing better than most of my districts, except for maybe Rensselaer. It's got a 5.85% increase in foundation aid. So what's that mean? That means an additional $1.44 million that's added to the overall foundation aid of $26 million to help, hopefully, help you put together a budget that meets the needs of the districts. Now, to be clear, I've never had a district say they have enough money to meet all their needs. No district ever says that.
Yeah, we're going to say the same thing too, that we appreciate the increase, but we still need more.
On cue, never enough, right? Good answer. That's why you've been a great superintendent, Jim. But at the same token, you know, I always say this is the floor. This is where we're starting. What happens from here? We will be working on putting together our one house assembly budget. That'll be passed by March 13th. And then the last 2 weeks of March are really spent really ironing out all the details. Admittedly, the one house budgets for the Assembly and the Senate are a response to the governor's proposal. Sometimes they get to be a little bit aspirational. So I always tell people, don't, I'll tell you what we've proposed, but it doesn't mean we're going to get. We're going to try to find some happy landing spots. Other items, this governor has been really good about not toying with the legislature. Actually, in this budget this year, a lot of people have been talking about the fact that it's large, it's $253 billion. But she's actually included a lot of things we usually fight to add. So it's one of those things where we're going to have three main topics that are going to be the be-all and all the budget. Two of them have nothing to do with education. One deals with discovery, which is a criminal justice issue. The other one deals with involuntary commitment to meet the needs of individuals that are struggling with behavioral health, whether it's mental or substance use disease. But the third item will be the foundation aid. And that's where I'm hoping to see where we can make improvement. But at least you know where we're starting. Otherwise, this governor doesn't mess around with, like before we used to go through consolidating all the expense-based aids and just giving a block number, which doesn't work well for districts. So we're not going to talk about it because she's not doing it. But I'm glad she's not doing it because it makes it much more easier process. Other outstanding issues that I share just for your edification. As you know, in East Greenbush is a good example, a very balanced education, try to provide all the resources. Some kids really migrate towards the higher education and moving on to college or community college or whatever it may be. Other kids are more geared towards some of the programs that Questar offers through career and technical education. Problem is, and we see this similar issue with nursing, we're trying to encourage more people to go in the field, but we don't have enough people doing the education of it. And the state has always had a cap on a salary of aidable support for CTE instructors. It's at $30,000 per instructor. As you might guess, these instructors bring a very unique experience. They're able to take classroom work and also deal hands-on work and put it together. So we're trying to increase that cap that we support up to $60,000, which is about a $40 million expense statewide, not just in this area. That's an important thing for me because I always try to look at opportunity for all children, regardless of what, each one has their own capabilities, but they also have their own interests. And we want to make sure that we have the appropriate amount of teachers on board to help meet the needs of the kids. Speaking of teachers, one of the other challenges I've heard from many superintendents, and Jeff, I know, I've heard this from time to time in East Greenbush, but I've heard it from others. Still, we have a teacher pipeline challenge. It can be a shortage at times. So we've been relying on retirees to kind of plug in the gaps and help to reduce expenses. But those retirees are capped at an annual salary of $35,000 per year. At the same token, they're certified, they meet all the criteria, they're competent, and there's a value. So many districts have been saying, we've been eliminating that cap of 35. We've done it since the pandemic started because we saw so many teachers exit. There's no proposal in the budget right now, but I'm proposing and working with our house to once again allow that cap to go on another year, just all the way again, because that gives districts flexibility, particularly when you need to fill in for subs and things like that. You want to have, don't get me wrong, you want more teachers that are going to make a career out of the district, but at the end of the day, if you're going to have subs, you want to have people who are experienced, and that's where you get that.
John, can I speak to that issue for just a minute, just to give you some data? I really appreciate that you support including that waiver of the retiree salary cap. We have 21 employees right now in the district providing services to the kids, several teachers and administrator, bus drivers, school safety supervisors.
Yep.
We looked at the data and I shared it with my administrative team today. So we really need that to continue to operate and provide those services next year, at least for 1 or 2 more years.
Yep.
They're providing critical services. They're experienced. So that's an important advocacy priority for our district. So thank you.
Yeah, no, and I'm the one who authored the bill to get it to 35. It used to be at 27,000, and it was there since the 1990s. About 7 years ago, I got it up to 35. If I had my druthers, I'd get it up to 50. The good news, if there's good news in this, is that, and you mentioned bus drivers, a great example. We are having a struggle with bus drivers. And, CSEA, to their credit, has been a great partner because in the past they had concerns that this would supplant some of their other positions, but they've been very helpful with the cap, and I commend them for being a partner in this because sometimes, they have other issues they have to worry about with their members. The other item is the electric bus mandate. That is causing a lot of heartache for a lot of districts on multiple different levels. Carrie Werner is my partner in the assembly, along with Mary Beth Walsh. They have up in Clifton Park and Glens Falls area, we held some meetings in the fall of last year, and we brought everybody together. We brought school districts, some school districts, not a lot. We brought some BOCES. We brought NYSERDA. We brought the New York Power Authority. We brought utilities like NYSEG and National Grid. We brought in NYSERDA, which is the one that has all the money to help support this. And we just had a good 3-hour session about all the barriers that we're running into. Districts are under a lot of pressure to try to meet this mandate. Some districts are fully embracing it because it works well in their communities. But not every district has that. And quite frankly, the topography and geography in the East Greenbush School District, it can be a potential challenge. You've got some potentially long routes to run, and like anybody else, educators' primary goal and primary response is to get kids safely from the home to the school and back and educate them in the meantime. The electric vehicle mandate has really put a lot of pressure on traditional positions like the mechanic in the garage. It's put pressure on, is our garage capable of doing this? It's put pressure on the utilities. Do we have enough energy to bring this? Shen's a good example, a very big district, but they're 2-3 years out from even getting the power, the transformers for the power to actually consider doing this. I don't want to bore you with this too much. Well-intentioned idea, makes perfect sense. Everybody can see the picture of, the old Charlie Brown thing where the kid gets off the bus and the diesel fuel is being pushed in their face. You can see where it's not a good picture, it's not a good idea. But the truth of the matter is, my druthers is always, why don't we start off with a pilot? Let's start off in an urban setting. We don't need to worry about kids getting stranded, going back and forth to, on a bus run. And by the way, you make a difference in the areas that are usually environmental justice zones where air quality is a larger concern versus something out in the suburbs. That being said, 2027 is supposed to be one of the first thresholds or mandate times. I don't anticipate any changes, although I'm supporting legislation to push that off a little bit. I don't anticipate anybody, the leadership, being in a political position to support it, to be honest with you. Although I do think it'll get pushed after the November 2026 elections. So we're going to have to continue to move forward on this, at least planning on it and working towards it. In some districts, Bethlehem, for example, they're embracing this, but that community has really wanted this for a long period of time. Have at it, but it's the mandate that is the concern. And I don't think there are people in East Greenbush that are like, hell no, I'm adamantly opposed to this by any stretch of the imagination. But at the same token, you're worried about, why are we buying buses that cost 3 times what we normally get? How do we manage our fleet? I'm sure you're, besides Jeff as superintendent, but the person responsible for transportation management is like ready to pull their hair out. So that is a big issue. You're going to continue to hear about it. I can't tell you where we're going to resolve it, but I know one thing. The 2027 date is going to come and go, and you're probably not going to be terribly, you're going to be making progress, but it won't be anywhere near what you need to do, and there's going to be no penalty. Because I always said, what are they going to do? Close school because you're bringing the kids to school in an electric bus? I don't mean being tongue-in-cheek, but I'm being very straightforward. So that's enough about me and what I have to say. I do think there's no major reason not to be done by March 31st, but I've said that before. And this governor's been actually willing to talk to the legislature a little bit longer than the former governor. Personally, I'd rather have just like when you're taking an exam, pens down, we're done April 1st. Let's fight it out and get the best done. But we shall see where it is, and I will obviously stay in great communication with Jeff. But if the board or the administration has any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them at this time.
Board members have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I have one. Mike Bano, John. Thank you for being here this evening. Any movement on UPK grant? The district gets a lot of UPK monies, and obviously it's starter money, but we do invest heavily in some our community wants and some of the board wants. Any chance that we'll see that per student dollar figure move a little bit so we can increase?
I can tell you that, we still have districts that don't even have full UPK yet.
Sure.
Throughout the state. Not as many, but we don't. You guys have been one of the more, recent ones to the game. We're going to try, but
okay,
that's not easy. I've signed on with support letters, the whole 9 yards. We're going to try. We have a lot of disparity. Communities like Troy, Coes, Watervliet, they adopted 20 years ago, and they're getting paid less per seat than what you're getting paid right now. So there's that dynamic playing out. And I personally would like to see a plan to true up over a 3-year period to try to get everybody, because every child deserves the opportunity from my perspective.
okay. Thank you very much.
Yep.
So I just wanted to say thank you again for attending tonight. It's very helpful. Let's go back to the buses for a second.
Mhm.
How do you think the state is going to be able to afford? Bottom line is the school districts are not going to be able to afford the money that's going into the electric buses. So how do you think it's going to happen? Do you think we're going to have allocations, or it's just going to be extended?
I think NYSERDA is really working hard to try to meet the financial needs of districts. The problem is, the buses themselves cost 3 times what the normal buses do. And the question is the state going to have the resources to aid you in that aspect? And, that's a challenge. I personally would like to see, I'm the one that, wants to say, you know what, you keep working towards it each and every year. Hopefully the market starts to get realistic, because we're actually creating demand when there hasn't been a demand, right? There's a want, there's a good need, but we're creating a demand and we're buying in high at the market. I'd rather see us have districts continue to work towards it, apply for a waiver each year that says, okay, here's what we've done, here's how we're working towards it, and be genuine about it. Because I think in the long term, we do want to get there. And quite frankly, at some point, when the delta starts to decrease, it's no different than hybrid or electric vehicles. When the spread starts to decrease, and you can see operational savings where you're not paying $3.39 for diesel fuel, you're actually now using electricity. When that delta starts to get there, then we start to get better buy-in. But I do think either a waiver where because right now there's a one-time waiver. I think it should be an annual review, an annual waiver, so that keeps districts working towards it. But we also have to come up with the money. And quite honestly, it's not there yet. We have to come up with the power. The power is the biggest issue. People don't realize this. I work with NYSEG and National Grid on a regular basis. And trust me, they're in the business of making money by power flowing, throwing through their thing. So it's not like they're saying we don't want the business. They want the business. They just don't have the functional capacity to do it. But we have New York State, has a very strong environmental record. Some people think it's weak. Some people think it's too strong. I think it's strong. I'm in the Capitol every day. There's a lot of people advocating for education. There's districts like Jeff have been raising these concerns for the last 3 or 4 years, saying well-intentioned. But there's a lot of people there that are focusing on the environment, and I get it, and I understand it and respect it. But we've got to make sure we don't go broke getting there.
And there'll be some leeway that we'll have to have for educating or learning how to actually maintenance on those electric buses too. That needs to be considered.
You're absolutely right. We're going to actually, Carrie Ward and I've already started working with civil service, because your chief mechanic is going to be a completely different skill set. You're going to need to have, some kind of a tech expert working in the garage now. And that's not even a civil service position that's in place right now. So we have a lot of work to be done. Once again, well-intentioned, a good goal to strive for, but we need to be sensitive to taxpayers' wallets while we're doing this.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you for supporting us.
So our advocacy team, which will include some students from Columbia High School, will be visiting John next Friday, and some board members, and we have our appointment scheduled. We always appreciate that opportunity. And John, you're always a good host for our students, and students often have the best points and questions and issues to raise. So we're looking forward to that, John. We always appreciate your support.
Yep, that's great. Anything else? I got my dog barking in the background. He's telling me it's time to let him out of the crate. So we gotta, I gotta move it along unless there's any other questions.
Thank you very much.
The only thing I want to say is this, Jeff, I want to thank you. I know you're moving on. You've been a great partner, and to the board, Godspeed. You got big shoes to fill, and I don't know where you're at with your search, but I look forward to picking up where Jeff left off as we continue to represent the Greenbush School District.
It's very kind. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I know we have a lot of patient parents and children in the audience right now. Thank you for bearing with us. We're going to move on to the school presentation. Mr. Newman.
It's okay. We're going to go over the board. For those of you who don't know, my name is Mike Newman. I'm the principal here at Belltop Elementary School. I want to welcome our central office administrators, the Board of Education, and the community here tonight. Before we start with the presentation, I just want a few thank yous, if that's okay. Thank you to the staff and faculty that helped set this up. These beautiful decorations, and we had homemade pastries tonight for sharing. The most incredible one right there by our kitchen manager, Pam Corellis. All of those chocolates on that white structure they made it look like little books from our Belltop book club. So it is edible. Please take some, but it's hard because it looks like art. And I want to thank also the faculty and staff here supporting us with their Belltop book club t-shirts on, and our PTO. Without them, we wouldn't have any books for the Belltop book club. They supply all the books for all of us, and just thank you for their unwavering support. So tonight's presentation is on our Belltop book club and its 10-year anniversary. But before we get to that, I just wanted to share, is Devon, you got me? Mr. Goodwin, next slide if you don't mind. I can keep going. I memorized it. So before we get to that, I wanted, with that great tradition that we have this year, I want to provide a few updates on some other great traditions we have here at Belltop. The first one being our Veterans Day celebration, just some things we already did, some already great traditions to elevate them a little bit more. So and you'll find a common theme throughout. We try to make them more student-led, try to have more student involvement. So this year, besides some tweaks to an already great celebration, we tried to make sure that we had every fifth grade student involved. They were MCs, they were guides, they greeted the vets as they came in, they were present passer outers, they did speeches during the presentation. So that was great. We had guest speakers. Mr. Simons came this year. Congressman Tonko wanted to be here. He couldn't. He sent us a video. You see some of the pictures there of that. That's Craig McCabe and his son coming in as a vet. We've got some really great feedback having the kids in this program, so we're really proud of it. Our character education program this year, we met early in the year, and a similar trait, we really wanted to get more students involved. So this year, every classroom has a student that will be student of the month, a student of character that's selected to receive an award at our assembly, which we have tomorrow afternoon. But also with that, there's more than one student doing great things. So we created these tickets. I want to thank Ms. Paris, our amazing designer, very talented, unbelievable. We asked for something like this, and this comes the next day. That's a picture of one of the tickets that we pass out to students seen doing great things. Our bus drivers have them, our monitors have them, our teachers have them. And I think it's just a way to make sure that
positive reinforcement. You're getting seen doing great things. You continue to do great things. And one of the new things we did to have students more involved this year is some grade level ownership. Beginning of the year, we had the traits up, which incorporate not only our traits, but we tried to incorporate our the portrait of a graduate characteristics in with it as well. But all the grade levels select a month and a thing to present. They choose to present in our assembly. They've done things like a song, a skit. For fourth grade, they did courage. We were all in here and they led a school-wide dance because you had to be courageous to dance, So they've been great. And then after we do that, we introduce the next month's trait so that students know what we're looking for the next month. So I think having the students involved has really taken an already great program and just elevated it. And the last thing I want to, before we get to the Belltop Book Club, is this year we're piloting our makerspace down in the library, and our outstanding library media specialist, Mrs. Devine, has found time in her schedule to have students come down and do STEAM projects, trying to follow the engineering process down there. We have their collaborative co-taught between Mrs. Devine and the teacher in the classroom. We have parents coming in. I've been down there looking. It's great. The kids are asking questions. They're happy. They're trying things. They're going back to the drawing board. It's great. Our third grade did the marble run. So you can see that they all created these things down there. They're in their many weeks practicing this. Our fourth grade did cup stacking in a marshmallow lab, which, if you hear more about it, the parents, maybe if someone here have been there, it's been wonderful. So we're very proud of this. And then the great thing about it is when the architects are coming to talk to us about our new library, we've talked to them about making sure we have a space designated for this makerspace. So very proud of the things that have been happening here at Goff, or Belltop this year. Sorry about that. So without further ado, the Belltop Book Club, this is the 10th year of the Belltop Book Club, but my first year. And I think just from my experience, this is probably one of the best initiatives I've ever been part of in education in all my years. The amount of care that I've seen from the community and our staff and how much they care about it and the great things we're doing with the trivia and the mystery readers, which I won't take it away from them to spoil a little bit, but to talk a little bit more about it, I want to introduce our first grade teacher, Miss Sarah Lucier, and our fourth grade teacher, Miss Tracy Cornell, who have been spearheading this for many years to give you a presentation on how great it's been. And I apologize. One more thank you. One more thank you is that we also have some student volunteers here to talk to us tonight too. I feel bad for forgetting them, but I appreciate you guys.
Good evening. Let us paint a picture for you. A class of eager first graders are gathered on the carpet area in their classroom as they settle in for daily read aloud. Their first chapter books are held tight in their tiny hands while they thumb their way to the page we bookmarked yesterday. Instantly, they bubble with ideas, thoughts, connections, and of course, predictions about what will happen in today's reading. Head to head, knee to knee, they track the print with their reading fingers, following along with the story while simultaneously noticing interesting words, gasping when the beloved main character faces yet another challenge, and formulating meaning like a true reader does as the story unfolds chapter by chapter.
Make your way up the stairs and through the halls to the other side of the building. A group of fourth graders are also getting cozy on the carpet, books in hand, side by side, or sharing a beanbag. They sit before the rocking chair that signals it's time for read aloud, eyes wide and spirits carefree. Hands fly in the air, students hoping to give the recap from where they left off the day before. As the teacher begins reading, you can hear a pin drop. A bond is forming between these readers and the characters, and they need to know what will happen next. A curious reader wonders about the word condescending, so they pause. They reread and look for clues to figure it out. They do, and suddenly the dialogue feels heavier, more intense. Another thoughtful kiddo realizes that's exactly how the mother spoke to the main character in a book we read previously. Connections are made. A quiet student in the back raises his hand and shares how terrible that would feel to be spoken to in this condescending tone. And just like that, empathy is building, in these 9 and 10-year-old readers. As the book is closed, you're sure to hear voices pleading, "One more chapter." That only happens when the readers feel this invested, like the story is theirs too. This is just a glimpse of the 15 to 20 minutes of magic that happens when we gather for book club.
10 years ago, an idea was planted and grew roots in our beloved school. Belltop Book Club, fondly referred to as BTBC, wove its way into the hearts and minds of staff, students, and families during its inaugural school-wide book club experience. With the help of the Belltop PTO, we were able to fundraise enough money to purchase a copy of the chosen book for every child and adult in the school. That year and every year since, teachers and students have gathered together during book club to read and discuss the day's assigned pages. Students pack up their books each day so families can reread together and have meaningful discussions at home. New this year, families were encouraged to tune in nightly to a mystery reader and listen as the chapters were read aloud to them. Thematic activities, shared reading experiences between older and younger students, author visits, artistic interpretations like you see hanging on the walls, school-wide trivia, and a culminating vocabulary parade unify the school community under the love of one thing, a book.
This year, we reached our 10th year of Belltop Book Club, which truly felt like a milestone worth celebrating. With titles like The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, Trumpet of the Swan, The One and Only Ivan, Because of Winn-Dixie, Wish Tree, The Wild Robot, Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, Otter, and Breadcrumbs, our students were exposed to a variety of genres and explored themes of friendship, perseverance, acceptance, and bravery, to name just a few. To commemorate our 10th year as a reading community, we decided to go back to the beginning and bring our very first book to a new batch of readers and thinkers.
Our hearts are full of memorable moments from 10 years of reading together as a Belltop community. Allow us to take you on a walk down memory lane to share a few highlights that have left a lasting impact on Belltoppers. In 2018, the stars aligned perfectly when our school was reading Because of Winn-Dixie. The Columbia High School Guidance Department happened to be running a campaign, Spread the Word to End the Word. We invited the guidance department and student leaders to come to our school and teach our students about the impact words and labels can have on people, as it did with the character of Otis from the story. Suffice it to say, the impact was far-reaching as we watched students teaching students, one of the most valuable lessons in life.
During the COVID shutdown, we felt determined to still give our kids a reading experience to look forward to when they were already missing out on so much. The Belltop staff showed up, as they always do, in the name of anything related to the enrichment and enjoyment of our students, with quite possibly the cheesiest video ever recorded, and which has thankfully been taken down. We rolled out Belltop Book Club bedtime stories. Our students could tune in at 7 o'clock each night to listen to a Belltop staff member read a cherished story from their home, something they could count on each night during a time where everything felt so uncertain.
Another memorable moment from the Belltop Book Club archives came when we read the story Otter by Katherine Applegate. This unique story was written in prose and connected the reader with a curious and adventurous main character, a sea otter. Lucky for us, the local Wild Center in Tupper Lake, New York, is home to river otters who display many of the same entertaining behaviors of their cousin sea otters. We were able to live stream a visit to the Wild Center and question and answer session with the handlers at the museum. Watching the otter cam became a favorite snack time activity for many Belltop classes following our virtual visit.
Last year, while reading Breadcrumbs, we were lucky enough to connect with the author, Anne Ursu, in a few different ways. After seeing a video of our kickoff assembly shared on Mrs. Devine's Instagram, she commented, "This is the best thing I have seen in my whole life." Following this, we scheduled a virtual author visit where students tuned in from their classrooms, while a panel of lucky Belltoppers asked her questions they were curious about. Anne Ursu's excitement and willingness to connect made us realize that this was an experience she would always remember too.
Anne Ursu wasn't the only published author who gained honorary membership into the Belltop Book Club experience. This year, we were thrilled to receive a personal message from the award-winning author Kate DiCamillo. Upon hearing about our 10-year anniversary and the impact her writing has had on hundreds of students who've turned the pages of her literary treasures, Kate DiCamillo shared this poignant message about the journeys books can take us on, and most importantly, about the power of a shared reading experience.
Hello, Belltop Book Club. It's me, your friend Kate DiCamillo. I just wanted to drop in and say happy 10th year of reading together. And also, I hear that y'all are gonna go on a miraculous journey with Edward Tulane. And it makes me so happy to think about y'all reading together. And it also, like miraculous journeys, I think that's what happens every time we open a book, and it really deepens the journey when we can go on it together. So I wanted to say congratulations on 10 years of reading together. And I also wanted to say, I hope that you keep taking miraculous journeys together. All right.
Okay, so we would like to introduce, they're laughing at the picture because this is a picture from second grade that you can see on the screen. These are former Belltop students and current Columbia High School seniors, Peyton Stavro and Molly Mara, to share a few words.
Hi, my name is Peyton Stavro,
And I'm Molly Mara.
and thank you so much for having us tonight.
With this being the 10-year anniversary of the Belltop Book Club, we were asked to speak on our experiences as we were part of the first group of students that were impacted by this program.
The legacy of the Belltop Book Club has remained strong in the 10 years that it has been active, and it has helped to develop the reading skills of hundreds of students.
We believe this program helps the students by starting them being exposed to more sophisticated literature at a young age, expanding their knowledge and understanding of more difficult concepts.
This has benefits in all areas of education, and it has sparked a motivation for higher learning in so many students that have gone through Belltop over the years.
For Peyton and I, we believe that this program has nurtured our love for reading and has continued to have an impact on our education even as seniors getting ready to graduate.
This experience provided us the tools necessary to continue to develop our reading skills while having fun with our classmates and being able to connect with our school community.
We can definitely attribute our love for reading to the Belltop Book Club as it exposed us to new genres and allowed us to use our imagination in a productive and powerful way.
Having the opportunity to break down these intricate stories, such as Edward Tulane, with our teachers and classmates, strengthen our relationships not only with reading, but with our peers as well.
And the impact of this program stretches way beyond just the two of us, and we are so grateful to be able to speak on behalf of such a wonderful community of learners.
Thank you.
And now we have a few current Belltoppers, Waverly, Beckett, and Lennon, to share a few words.
I love reading with my friends. I like reading books that I haven't heard before. My favorite thing about Belltop Book Club is that everybody gets to read a good book and talk about it. My favorite Belltop Book Club book is The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane.
So as you can see from these few examples, this is truly bigger than reading. Because of expert storytelling, Belltop students grow as people who understand themselves, each other, and the world outside just a little bit better. Every year we read piles of books searching for one that's a perfect fit, one that will reach all readers and leave happy reading memories to look back on. Miraculously, we always find that book.
Belltop Book Club is a special tradition because of the special people who bring it to life. The generous PTO, the enthusiastic Belltop staff, supportive families, and most importantly, our engaged Belltop readers. At this time, we're delighted to give you, the members of the Board of Education and administrative team, your own copy of this year's Belltop Book Club treasure, The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, delivered to you by Belltop's own resident bookworm, Mags Kohler, and her friend Beckett.
Thank you very much, guys. I do have one more thank you before we field any more questions. I do want to thank Ms. Corell and Mr. Adam too for also helping us post those mystery readers, sometimes on very short notice with many texts just me saying, please, please, please. So we want to just another thank you there. So that's the conclusion of our presentation. And if you have any questions, we can field them.
So now that we have a copy of our book, are there opportunities for us to visit the school and maybe help participate in some of the reading with the club?
We've finished, but next year, that is something we can definitely make happen. So at this time, if it's okay with you, Mr. Temple and Mr. Simons, if we do have a lot of goodies back there, if anybody would like to partake, this would be a great time.
And thank you, everybody. Thank you.
A great presentation.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Continuing on, next up is our art education program review.
Are we going to modify the agenda? Is that what we're doing?
Say it again?
Are we modifying the agenda?
No, okay, that wasn't up next. Let me take a look here.
No, it's okay. If you want to do that, that's
All right.
fine.
Okay, no, I understand. I got you. So first is the board. No, first we're gonna do the approval of the draft minutes. Thanks for keeping us on track there, Mike. Okay. And let's see here. And for that meeting, Mr. Buno and Ms. Steinbach was absent. And do we have enough? We do have enough. Is there a motion to approve the draft minutes? All right, Ms. Komersky, is there a second? Ms. Turner, everyone in favor? That's yep. Everyone abstaining, Mr. Buno, Ms. Steinbach, and everyone else approved. Motion passes. And next up is board forum. Mr. Buno, did you want to give an update?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Seppel. Appreciate that. Yeah, so just a quick update for the community on the job search for the superintendent, which was mentioned earlier today. The postings and the application process concluded over the weekend on February 26th. Right now, our search consultants are gathering that information and putting it together for the board. We anticipate that we'll have that information soon for the board members to look at the different applications. And then we will meet with our consultant on March 11th, an executive session to review that applications and discuss next steps in terms of moving candidates forward for the interview process. We'll do another update on March 12th after that meeting. And then we do anticipate interviews to take place about the third week of March. So the process is moving along well. And we're in close communication with our partners at Questar. Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you, Mr. Pino. So starting the board forum, I'm gonna start on my left, Ms. Van Orton.
I'm all set.
That's it.
All set.
Mr. Pino, I'm all set. Ms. Turner, anything? Ms. Phillips, Ms. Steinbach. All right, and moving on to the public forum. Residents, students, employees, and business representatives of the East Greenbush Central School District may address the board on matters concerning programs and/or operations of the district other than matters involving personnel. The members of the board do not directly respond to citizen concerns during a public forum. If a response is appropriate, either the president or superintendent will contact the individual in the near future. Those persons wishing to address the board will be recognized by the chair of the meeting and should state for the record their name and address or affiliation with the district or business. While the board does not wish to infringe upon free speech protections, it must be stressed that the visitors forum is not deemed to be an open forum. The board president will conduct the forum for the orderly and efficient operation of board business. Excuse me. In addition, any remarks which may be considered defamatory or stigmatizing are prohibited and will be declared out of order. All comments shall be limited to 5 minutes. Are there any comments? All right. And moving on to our art program review. All right. Yes.
Thanks for being patient.
No problem.
Well, there. Good evening. My name is Andrea Neiman, and I'm the art department chairperson and an art teacher at Columbia High School. With me tonight is Kate Warbuba. She represents Goff Middle School's art department, and Diane Shalabutis here to represent the elementary art department. She currently works at DPS and Belltop. I'd like to thank the Board of Education for this important opportunity to review our art program. Also, thank you to Central Administration for your ongoing support. Thank you to my fabulous colleagues for their hard work and dedication to this truly collaborative process. All 10 of us participated, contributed, shared our voices and talents. Kate will begin the presentation with some highlights from our mission statement.
So some highlights from our mission statement. We have the implementation of the current New York State Visual Arts Learning Standards, communication through the arts, engaging students in the creative process for current and future success, developing student self-awareness, reflection, confidence, and resilience, using cross-curricular lessons, and developing an appreciation of culture, society, history, and personal experience through the visual arts. Our education program is future focused and dedicated to teaching skills that technology and AI cannot replace, such as organization, creativity, effective editing, collaboration, empathy, risk-taking, and perseverance.
So we are very proud of our accomplishments over the last 5 years, especially considering that considering that 3 of those school years involved changes because of COVID. Despite the challenges, we stayed true to our mission and goals and delivered a strong, comprehensive, and rich program. I'd like to mention that after 2 summers of training, art teacher Valerie Gordon and her partner, ELA teacher Jason DeFrias, had to pivot at the last minute and teach their first year of the Introduction to Video Game Development course asynchronously. Personal art kits needed to be provided to all of our K-12 art students. Thanks to Mr. Simons for generously supporting that mission. And safety in the art room was of utmost concern. So thanks to Mr. Paul Bickle, head of buildings and grounds, along with our wonderful nursing staff for all their efforts in that area. As a department, we modeled creativity, resourcefulness, and resilience to our students during a time of great uncertainty. As you can see from this picture, it's so good to be back to holding our district-wide art show in person. Look at all these beautiful people who come out to see the successes of our art department. So with that in mind, I'm going to just highlight some of the accomplishments over the past 5 years, and the district-wide art show is probably our greatest one. So we had our 3 virtual shows. We are back, like I said, to having them in person. And then per the district's goal of forming an initiative or a connection with the East Greenbush Library, we now have artwork during the month of May, 3-dimensional pieces, on display in the glass cases there. So while the art show goes on at Columbia High School, you can also go and visit, and that will continue on. Not only are we displaying artwork throughout our district, but we submit student artwork to community shows. The most prestigious show is the high school regional. Each district, there are about 28 who participate. They can send 25 pieces of work to be judged ahead of time. So the jurors look at over 600 pieces of high school students' artwork. Only 100 can hang in the Albany Center Gallery or the Opelka Gallery at Russell Sage College. And for the past decade, our students have been very competitive and have had work accepted. They also have won awards in recent years. Not only there, but we had a student, 2024 graduate Java Susi, won an award at a mental health art exhibition at the Charlton School for Girls. Also during this time, as we mentioned, we rolled out some new courses. So one of those was the video game development course, and our advanced capstone course is now worth 3 college credits through Russell Sage College. We're very proud to host visitors so that students get this real world experience and they understand where the future can lead them in the arts. So we have college representatives. They view the students' artwork and give feedback on their portfolios. We have Columbia High School alumni come back and visit. So that's Lainey Broglio. She graduated 2 years ago and is now a sophomore at FIT. She spoke to, what the college experience is like. And to the right is Ira Marks. He is a local professional working artist. He's a cartoonist and a graphic novelist. He conducted 2-day workshops for all 8 of our sections of studio art this past fall. We're also really engaged in participating in the East Greenbush Central School District community. So we had the great pleasure of doing a podcast with Mr. Simons last spring. We opened our doors to Inside the Classroom, and we have a presence at the multicultural show. Some special opportunities that exist for our high school students include the Creative Career Expo. It's taking place next month. Students and a parent or family member can participate in 3 breakout sessions to learn about careers such as architecture, the user experience, graphic design, fashion design. It's a way to show students and their parents that a career in the arts is possible. And I should mention that's in partnership, again, with Russell Sage College, the Upstate Alliance for the Creative Economy, NYSADA, which is the New York State Art Teachers Association, and CAS, which is the Capital Area Art Supervisors Group that I belong to. As far as teacher recognition goes, I want to highlight that our art teachers are also artists themselves, participating in annual faculty as artists exhibits. And we have some members of our department who have been recognized by WNYT's top teacher. And so Valerie Gordon was recognized during this 5-year period. All right, I'm going to turn this over for the program goals.
Okay, so goals 1, 2, and 3 are things that the department is going to be focused on over the next 5 years. And we're going to work as a team to be able to strengthen our program delivery, program continuity, and professional relationships. But what we really want to talk about are goals 4 and 5, and that's where we want to bring that to your attention to ask for support.
So for goal number 4, technology, equipment, and training, I'd like to thank you all for the technology upgrades that we've received. The ViewSonic boards, the document cameras, the color printers at the middle school and the high school have made the program so much more relevant and successful for the teachers and in their delivery, and for the students to receive a quality art education. The items we currently have came from our previous requests during program review. However, in order to give art educators and students the best experience and to keep the program relevant, technologies such as updated document cameras, digital drawing tablets, 3D printers, large format printers, etc., should be explored and updated on a regular basis. We're asking for support in a way that's not inconvenient to our educators. Access to this equipment will make our program comparable to that of neighboring schools and will prepare our students for the future. Give this back to Diane.
And goal number 5 is program expansion. So each elementary school has a very unique culture and rich community within them, as you saw today with Belltop. When given the opportunity to fully engage in that school community as an art teacher, you can build strong relationships with the students and through that, create cross-curricular activities with the general ed teachers. Art enrichment is a great way to strengthen the educational foundation for all the students. I'm the only art teacher at DPS, which is wonderful. I'm there for 3 days a week. And through their character ed committee at DPS, last year's theme was Let's Grow Together. And we made these beautiful giant wooden flowers to kind of make some just beautification to the community around DPS and DPS grounds itself. This year, we're working on mosaic tiles for our pollinator garden that we're going to be doing. My other school here is Belltop. And I'm here 2 days a week, and then another art teacher is here for the 3rd day. And we've been asked by the Belltop Book Club to create a mural that represents the 10 years of their wonderful program, which I actually love to be part of. The biggest issue is that we're split between buildings. We're not here full time, and we haven't been able to even start it, even though we were asked in the beginning of January to do that. And while we're going to still work together and complete it hopefully by the end of the year or maybe over the summer, it would be beneficial to have a full-time art teacher in every elementary building. So that's what we're asking for you to consider, having a full-time art teacher to enhance the community within each elementary building.
So at the end of the day, doesn't it all come down to nurturing and supporting our students? Aren't they deserving of rich and relevant 21st century experiences in the art room? We think so, and here's what they have to say. So I know many of you are familiar with Cole Hardy. He's a senior and very involved in student council. He joined us late in his high school career, he still is very involved in music and the performing arts. So he says it's the most perfect time to decompress and test my creative ability. This is why someone should take art in high school. And he says there aren't many other opportunities like it. So it is a unique place to be. As far as middle school goes, I'm going to test my vision here. Maybe I'll look over here. Vanessa Vasquez from grade 8, her middle school art experience, when asked what it's been like, she says, I have loved 7th and 8th grade art the most out of all of my years taking art. Learning color theory, shading, perspective, and many other things was fascinating. I have my middle school teacher to thank for it. I use those lessons in my art daily. I'm not the best artist, but I'm proud of my work. The lessons taught were memorable, and I often think back on them. And at the elementary level, when asked, what do you like about art? A student from Green Meadow responded, you can express your emotions. It's exciting. It helps your mind go to rest. So not only are we preparing students for the future, we're helping them with social emotional learning and regulation as well. So you've seen the merits of the art department, and most recently through Carly Power's touching presentation of Green Meadows art program at a previous board meeting. Board of Education, please understand the hardships this department is facing and help us rectify them. Thank you. We can answer any questions if you have them.
When was the last time we had a full-time art teacher in each elementary school?
I don't know, but it's an issue of size of the different schools and the number of classes that actually have to be taught. So I would agree with the comment that in a perfect world, these extra projects that are being asked of you would be done better. But I haven't done the analysis, but I'm thinking you're talking about 3 to 4 FTEs at about $300,000 to $400,000 additional cost. I don't think the budget will support that next year. It doesn't mean, as we have in the past, we've taken these program reviews and we've identified things that some of the departments have wanted, and when opportunity came and money became available, that we would do it. But when you take a school like Donald P. Sutherland that is much smaller in enrollment, the number of classes that have to be taught art compared to a Janae Elementary School, that's why it's very common in school districts to have art, music, and special area teachers that are split between the smaller buildings. And that's challenging to some degree, but it's also quite common. So I'm not saying that I don't support what you're saying programmatically, it's just budget resources to be able to do that kind of thing is not available right now.
And is
It doesn't mean we don't put it
is
on a list for
DPS
consideration.
DPS and Belltop that are only?
I don't know the
student-
art schedule off the top of my head, but
Yeah, you know better than I do. It is more than just Belltop and DPS. There's just
Green Meadow as
Green
well.
Meadow is,
Green Meadow.
is one as well.
you look at the total number of classes of art based on the number of times it's offered per week. Take your number of teachers and you assign based on the district number of art classes that need to be covered among some other
Yeah,
factors.
and it doesn't mean that we can continue to take a closer look at it to minimize as much of that as possible. If the staffing to have one at every school isn't quite available, it's looking to see if it can, that travel can not
Reduce the
happen.
travel time.
I wanted to say, I wanted to just acknowledge the presentation. It was a great presentation. Totally got the point, right? That AI cannot replace educators, right? It's here to enhance educators. I love the point about communication, right? Through visual, like the whole identification about art, and finding avenues to express yourself through the craft. And I think that finding ways to support is important. I'm considering the environment, but the commitment, must be there that we will find how we can, when we can, to support the program. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I also love that you've done some really great things in the community with the library. I'm curious, so from a curriculum perspective, do all elementary students take an art course? And is that true for middle school? Or when does it start to become a little bit more of elective?
So at the elementary level, you see your students once a week. And at the middle school, they participate in an art program for a quarter, so 10 weeks. And then they have the opportunity to fulfill their 1 credit to earn their New York State art credit. They could earn it through music or they could earn it through technology. And we love it when they earn it through our visual arts department, in which case they would be with us every day for 45 minutes in a studio art class. And then they have opportunities to continue on in our many electives at the high school level. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I just want to say my son had an opportunity this year to do it, and he was not an art student to begin with, and he loved the class, and he felt that he could connect very easily. So I appreciate that took somebody who felt like a little bit of an outsider and made them feel really part of it. So thank you for that.
I really enjoyed working with him. He was wonderful.
Thanks.
I wanted to ask too, thinking about like technology. So I know we're saying that staff might be difficult from the amount of the expense. I'm wondering, thinking like equipment that you're talking about, like 3D printers or
Right.
like, I'm imagining those would be more marginal. And I'm just wondering, are there ways that the board could support with, expenses that are not recurring necessarily, but one-time enhancements, towards the program, at least, to think about. But that's just what I was thinking, that there was more than just, like there could be some.
Yeah, so I've spoke to Ms. Neiman, several times about some different things and working with, with Mr. Goodwin to see what we can do. And then continuous, I think, what really should be something is it be a continuous conversation that, over the next X number of years, here's the route we want to go and have a plan of, how can we, meet those needs as opposed to just all at once, saying like, okay, 3D printers is a priority. Let's see if that's something that we can do. And then, kind of making sure that we're not having our technology get old and stale, making sure
That
that
happens
it's
very quickly.
right.
And we need opportunities to learn how to use the equipment before we can even roll it out to students.
Yeah.
So the training is really important as well, and opportunities for us to practice and feel competent with it. So even just having one 3D printer, it could be a small scale one just for the art department to start experimenting with a little bit, and then we could slowly introduce it to some students. We want our students to leave Columbia High School having used printers that they might access in a career, or use 3D printers. Like, that should be an experience that's under their belts before they leave us.
How much are the 3D printers that you're looking at current? Like, I don't know, have y'all done I'm just curious.
Yeah, we've looked. I mean, I think there's a large range
There is a
that,
large
that
range.
you can do, but
Several
um,
hundred for just a basic one to get started. The tablets too, I've asked some of my freshmen, do you have any experience with Photoshop? Are you doing any artwork digitally? I mean, that's where the money is.
Yeah.
And they don't have much experience. I just found out from a student, he has a tablet, a UG tablet that you can connect to a Chromebook. It has a stylus, it has a glove. Just, even one class set of those that the studio art teachers could share, maybe for a quarter of the year, and offer some digital media experiences.
I'm also wondering, is there a difference between like commercial versus like in how, I'm just wondering like for a school purpose, when you have a large amount of student use, it probably will be a certain type of printer likely, right? That's different from,
yeah, I think so. And
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
connect with Ms. Neiman again and, work with Mr. Goodwin, which we're trying to do to make sure that we can, meet all those needs. Cause like she said, technology is ever changing and there is a huge digital art world out there.
Yes, for sure.
That we want to make sure students are getting the opportunity to work with that.
Okay.
I do remember, I think we've made a lot of progress, though, and I think I agree with Roy that we'll take a look at, starting small and maybe incrementally building up replacement of the technology. I do remember it was just 5 years ago in the program review where the big item was elementary teachers had no ViewSonic boards, and they were connecting. It was a system that I used when I taught second grade in 1994, where you were connecting through a box, the computer, to the back of the television set
Yes.
to project information. So we have come a
Big
ways.
moves. Big
And
moves.
I want to thank the technology department for getting that. That took a little while as well. But
And Peter gave us an awesome tutorial in that. The touch screen thing, I was a little nervous about. But he really helped. He really helped with that. Making us feel comfortable, getting up in front of students who tend to be more tech savvy than we are and make us feel like we were competent with these.
Just have a comment. I want to thank you for your presentation. I know that you've done wonderful work in maintaining the program over the years with limited resources, and it sounds like there may be some opportunities to utilize technology to enhance your classrooms and help support students for the future. Just wanted to say too, anecdotally, you had some success stories. Just want to share one. My daughter was in the program. She was way ahead of her class. She decided to become a minor in visual arts at Siena. And her professor was very impressed by her skill set just coming in at the beginning as a freshman to those courses. And I think it's all due to the program and the instruction she had with Ms. Leroy and
We
Val
really
and
enjoyed working
Liz.
with Lee.
Yeah, so Leah's doing very well, and her artwork is all over our house now. So, and she's trying to get it exhibited at Siena too. So,
Wonderful.
looking forward to that, and just want to thank you for your work.
if any board members here have never attended the art show at Columbia High School, you have to attend the art show. And I would agree that the virtual art show was challenging, but I would also say that during those years when you did the virtual art show, it was particularly after the first year of COVID, I was awestruck by the level of work involved. There's a lot of work that the art department does that maybe people don't see, to go to the art shows that are in the region. Recently went with you to Mahonison.
Thank you for
To
that.
see the work that was going on. These regional shows take a lot of collaboration, a lot of organization, a lot of setup time, as does our community art show. And those are things that you do on your own time, and because you are so passionate about art. So I think that I'm just encouraging the community and the board to get out and go see the work that our art teachers and our students do that's displayed at the library, that will be displayed at Columbia High School. I mean, that high school is packed.
That's why I love that photo.
Particularly last year.
I don't know if it'll go.
I also was glad to hear about the video gaming course, because I know Val and Jason did a lot of work as fellows. So Quest are those summers that they put in and embedded with the gaming companies, and just to show that there are other opportunities for students in different fields, with the TLA, visual arts, things like that, that there's a lot of opportunity in this region too.
Yes.
And I'm glad to hear about that course that's coming to fruition.
It's a very unique course too. They run it like how Vicarious Vision
Yeah.
runs their company, and it's all based on collaboration. So the students who succeed in that class are the ones who can work in a group.
Excellent.
And Jason DeFrias and Valerie Gordon come with their own background knowledge. Jason as a storyteller, from the English department, Valerie with her art skills and her technology skills. And so it's a really enriching experience for the students to be co-taught that way. We thank the district for supporting that.
Maybe they can,
Started with a
maybe they can
visit
show
of
off their
Vicarious
skills
Visions.
someday. Maybe some of the kids can show off some of their skills and see a little presentation about what's happening in the
Okay.
video gaming course.
Okay.
Because
Hint,
that started in
hint.
2020? Was that after
Yes.
that? It was 2020, right? Was
Yes.
the first year we approved it?
That
Challenging time.
that video gaming course was really tied to the board's discussion around making sure that there are career pathways for students to explore right here in their own backyard. And I believe there are 2 or 3 major video game manufacturing companies. Vicarious Visions under a new name right now. I don't know exactly what their name, Warner Brothers, and there's others in this area. So right here in the capital region, there's a lot of video game development going on, and we visited to see what that work environment was like. So that became an art class co-taught, but it was actually started with the idea of let's offer some coursework that will connect kids to careers. You guys did a great job with it. So.
I'd like to say something here. I thank you for this presentation, and I feel like I couldn't be more supportive of the arts in schools. I think it's necessary. My son is in kindergarten and absolutely loves, I feel like every day is art and he loves it. So much so that we spent break. He went to art camp at the Capital Region Art Center and had his first art show. And I even sent, a check-in right to our Green Meadow art teacher and sent the picture of him. But I couldn't support it more. One of the comments that I think that really struck me and I think resonates is the need for to embrace the technology when it comes to art. Right. We have every, art medium right in the house, but when we're driving, when we're around, we have apps, right, that my son can draw on, and, he's 6 and he can shade and he can do all that, and Canva, and those sorts of programs are what, people use, every day and for work and things. And I feel like, it's the way of the future. And by the time my son, right, is in high school or is in that age and going to go into the working world, these are skills that I think, we should be providing, and the access to, those sorts of programs and, ways of learning as well. I think we need to embrace it. You'll never replace, your pencil and all your mediums, but I think we should acknowledge that. And these programs, right, like to get those programs in schools, or to get, the printers, which allow you, to do that. I think that we really should be looking at that as well. It's the way that it's going to be, and it's the future. And if my 6-year-old, right, can draw on the tablet and the iPad, I think we should figure out, right, how to embrace that too in education.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much.
Good job.
Okay. Next on the list, we have capital project planning. Is this going to be Mr. Simons?
Just very briefly, more for the community. The Phase 1A project is proceeding on schedule. When the snow melts, and hopefully mid-April, we will be starting the replacement of the Columbia High School roof, as well as replacement of the tennis courts and the basketball courts. That process of planning for that is started and ready to go. The faculty at the high school will be having a meeting with our construction management representatives to learn about the process that will be used. Mr. Harkin has set that up for us for next week. Additionally, we have a meeting tomorrow regarding Phase 1B with the town of East Greenbush and the county regarding the plans for Behind Goff Middle School and the additional access road and the fields. to share the traffic analysis that was done by Labella. That meeting is all set up. I believe it is tomorrow. That we're participating in. We received word from our architects that the plans for behind Goff Phase 1B are progressing at State Education Department. They haven't been approved yet, but they are progressing. I believe the architectural reviews have been completed, or at least are in the stage of architectural review at SED. Maybe not completed. So the work is advancing at SED, and we're continuing to look at the financing to make sure that that financing can align with any potential early start earlier than what we had estimated. So everything is progressing rather smoothly with the support of Jennifer Mulligan, Paul Bickle, and our architects and our construction management firm. We also have a meeting set up for a final review of the proposals for the locker room and the additional music space at Goff. Everything is proceeding according to plan as of this point.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Simon.
Jeff, is there a steering committee meeting coming up?
We talked about setting one up. I can't remember when we said we were.
March, April?
Yeah, I don't think we have one set yet.
Be up here next.
I think we're thinking later in
Yeah.
March, early April. Yeah.
Thanks, sorry.
Okay. Next on the radar is approval of programs for resident children with disabilities. Any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve this item? Mr. Buno, second. Ms. Van Orton, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes. I'm moving on to the draft school calendar. Any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve this item? Ms. Turner, a second. Ms. Komersky, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes. A resolution to award special inspection services, RFP. Is there any questions or comments about this item? Is there a motion to approve? Ms. Komersky, second. Ms. Van Orton, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes. Establishment of professional development presenter planning stipend. Is there any questions or comments on this item? Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Buno, is there a second? Ms. Steinbach, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. Motion passes.
Jeff, on that one, how many do you think we're gonna have? Is it a pretty popular?
I think, well, I'll let Mr. Stiles speak to that.
Sure. So the proposals, the window to submit proposals has closed. I have a subcommittee from our PD committee who looked at all those proposals and approved them. It's 40 or 41 total. It's right around that number.
That's great.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Stiles. Moving on to the motion for the Ingram Solar 1 LLC solar project.
Just a question, where is this plot?
Winter
I tried to
Street
look-
Extension. Not sure exactly where, but it's on Winter Street
Yeah, Winter
Extension.
Street Extension,
And
North
the big
Greenbush.
fields way in the back,
Probably.
off Winter Street.
probably.
Extension
Yeah,
of
I
the
didn't-
Across from the church.
I didn't look
Okay.
that level of detail, but over.
Big solar farm coming.
Mhm.
Get some money out of it.
For the public's benefit that may be watching the meeting, the board previously approved another solar pilot. The board also approved a resolution which enables the district to receive revenue on the increased value of the property through a pilot arrangement. So these arrangements are, what's being approved is the ability, the agreement for the pilot to share revenue with the district, the county, and the town.
Yep, and there's 2 more coming in the pipeline.
Okay.
So
I have a quick comment.
It's
Like,
a big plot.
yeah, these are huge pieces of property. And mind you, I understand, Mr. Simon, tell me if it's correct or not, that if we don't agree, we just lose out on revenue altogether. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. But my challenge is just generally, I just had a brief comment that, a megawatt, like how many acres, it's got several, like thousands of acres, I'm imagining, certainly hundreds, right? And just that amount of space and development and getting such a small fraction of revenue of what would be a higher amount. I just want to make the comment, like, I'm not interested in losing revenue, but I am concerned about such a deep discount, on bringing, but I love the idea of bringing development in, so, but I just wanted to make that comment that,
We want to get as much revenue as we can
Yeah.
to support student programs in the district. New York State has a law that exempts solar fields, these types of projects, from property taxes. The portion of the property taxes that increases as a result of putting the field in. The pilot arrangement, every time one of these is proposed now, the district will be in a position to negotiate a pilot arrangement. Some of these pilots were already in the works in terms of the county's negotiation that we joined late, but our position in general is that we want to be at the table to negotiate these pilot arrangements to try to maximize the amount of revenue that would be available for our students. So I think you raise a good point, Mr. Temple.
Which is unlike the other pilots and IEA pilots.
Right. There are other types of pilots that provide abated taxes for commercial businesses under New York State law to support economic development, job retention, and growth. New York State law indicates that school districts are represented at the hearing, entitled to notice, entitled to be represented at the hearing, but we have no negotiating authority. So if we say we don't have the ability to say, no, we don't agree to the pilot, we just are allowed to have a conversation. So that's something that at times, that's what Mr. Buno was referring to. We're not involved in the upfront discussions as to the revenue that the district could potentially receive through typical pilot arrangements from the Industrial Development Agency of Rensselaer County.
I do know that, and I don't want to belabor the point here, but I saw it in the NYSBA newspaper today that it's one of their advocacy points is to have school districts more involved in that process. So hopefully that's something they consider, at least partially.
We don't get a vote, basically. I think there is a proposal to have the school district sit on the IDA that I've seen at some point. I don't know if it's a current proposal or not. I've seen drafts of a proposal where the superintendent or business official or board member sits on the board of the IDA.
I like that.
But
That could be part of your next piece, your advocacy.
Might be,
right?
yeah.
So anyway, I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, Mr. Buno, second.
Second.
Ms. Komersky, everyone in favor? Everyone's in favor, motion passes. Okay, and moving on to committee reports, Mr. Simon for the advocacy committee.
As I already spoke about the advocacy committee, we're going to be heading to over to Albany on Friday of next week. Mr. Wagner, Vice President of the Greenbush Teachers Association, will be joining us. Samantha Phillips, member of the board, will be with us, as well as myself, Jennifer Mulligan. Kim Turner, member of the board, will be joining us. Kim, you've been on our group before you were a board member, so I didn't forget you. But, Kim will be joining us as well, and 3 students from the high school, Mr. Wagner, Mr. Garib, the other Dan in the back, will be joining us, and Mary Ridzi, our treasurer. I think I got everybody.
Ms. Wise.
And yes, our food service director, Colleen Wise, to advocate for continuation of the free lunches. So we have that set up for Friday, and also the NISCUS Midwinter Conference is Monday and Tuesday is the lobbying day, and I'll be joining the group from Questar BOCES for that lobbying as well. So Mr. McDonald, Senator Ashby, and Assemblyman Bendet will see me and representatives of our district twice next week, which is a good thing.
Thank you, Mr. Simon. So there are no tabled motions. Any old business? Nothing? Any questions or comments about the consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Ms. Steinbach, second. Ms. Turner, everyone in favor? All in favor? Motion passes. Everyone's in favor. Let's see here. There is no addendum. There's no addendum. New business, anyone?
Just quickly. I saw that the meeting, there was a meeting scheduled, Jeff, about the student school board member. I think it's one of the days that we're interviewing potentially.
Okay, I can change that.
Okay.
And I did have a request from the board to put that on as a discussion item at the next regular board meeting.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'll do that as well.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you, Mr. Simons. Okay, in our last public forum, anyone? Nothing? All right, thanks for joining us, everyone. In our last, say it again?
Got to do our roundtable.
Absolutely. Ms. Steinbach, start over here this time.
No, I think this was very art-filled, evening. I appreciate that. And then that plug, I'll plug the play is this weekend, and hope to see folks there. I'm definitely attending.
Thank you. Ms. Phillips?
Thank you.
All right. Ms.
Looking
Turner?
forward to the play, but tomorrow night, actually.
Okay.
So-
Now, we have a wrestler that's undefeated right now on the way to the championships. Let's hold on 1 second.
We have two headed to the state championship.
Yes.
All right, Mr.
Yes.
Tanner Scott, who's a senior, so one male, one female.
Awesome. I love wrestling too, by the way. But congratulations to our students. That's all.
Yeah, just echo what Jesse said. Congratulations to the athletics performances that we've seen, and best luck to those who are moving on. We got our sectionals coming up with the basketball, so let's hope and root and support them. They have a good shot to go pretty far.
So, Ms. Komerski.
I'm all set.
All right, Ms. Van Orton.
All set.
All right. And have to be close to the finish line here. Let's see. And that's all. No executive session today, so I need a motion to adjourn the meeting. Mr. Buno, a second. Ms. Turner, everyone is in favor. Motion passes. Meeting adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.